I've been thinking, you ever feel like that no matter what you do, you always disappoint yourself? Like really, every time you try to lose weight, every time you try to go after a goal, every relationship you're in, everything related to your performance at school or at work, every time you try to go after something, the only thing that happens is that you let yourself down. Well, what if this was just a story? Like, what if it was a lie? And what if it wasn't even true? And because of all this, you ever feel like sometimes, what's the point? Why bother eating right? Like, screw it, I'd rather have the donut and just enjoy my life. Why bother trying for a legitimate relationship again? Why bother trying to get a better paying job or perform better at school or go after any of these goals? Like, why bother trying? Well, lately I've been thinking, what if none of this is true? Like, what if it's just a lie? What if it's all made up? Lately, I've been talking to a lot of people about why they've given up. I've talked to people in so many different industries, from weight loss to success to relationships, and it's all the same story. When I talk to people about why they've given up, they tell me a lot of things. They tell me that it's the restrictive diet. They tell me that it's, I want to enjoy food. They tell me it's, every time I work hard at my job, someone else gets that promotion. They tell me it's, no matter how hard I try in the relationship, I always mess it up, or I don't feel good enough for a person. But they never tell me what I feel like is the only thing that matters. And what we're really trying to say is that I keep disappointing myself. I keep disappointing myself. I keep letting myself down. I'm tired. I'm exhausted. I'm burned out. Why bother investing so much more effort? In fact, even my closest friend, my best friend that committed suicide 2 years ago, one of the last things he said to me was he felt so exhausted and he wasn't really sure if he had the energy to pull himself out of the hole he had dug himself into. He didn't feel like this time he had enough energy to actually dig himself out of that hole. And there's a lot of people who have this feeling on a day-to-day basis. And the reason why I wanted to kind of address it in a video is there's so many of us, I would say everybody, at some point that feel this, at some point that have this sensation. But the caveat, the trick of life is that it doesn't matter how many times you disappoint yourself, you still have to get up and keep trying. Like if you're 50 pounds overweight, you don't feel good, you don't look good, are you really gonna just stop because you keep disappointing yourself? You can't stop. If you're not making enough money to survive, can you just stop caring and put it all on credit cards? No, you can for a period of time, but you can't in the long run. If you're not happy and you keep letting yourself down, are you just going to exist for the next 70 years in that state of misery? You can. It'd be a hell of an existence. So how do you keep going though when you actually keep letting yourself down? So the first mistake I really see, both in my own life and other people, is that we set too many outcome-based goals. I shared my story a little bit of trying to gain weight because I was so severely underweight as a kid that every time I went to the doctor, she or he would be like, oh, you're underweight, your BMI's under 17, you need to eat more. And I was like, well, yeah, no kidding. I realize that. I'm just eating normally though. I'm eating normally, I'm eating healthy. That was just my body type, right? Those were just my genetics. My mom has been really thin. And I also had digestive problems. My little brother has the same ones. And I shared how it took me years. I had 3-year periods where I saw no change in my physical body's appearance, even though I was in the gym 5 days a week, right? I'm 30 now. I've been in the gym 4 to 5 days a week for over 10 years. And there were entire years where I saw no progress. I saw no change. And that is a really difficult thing to bear. That's a really difficult burden when you want results and you want to change. That's a really, really hard thing to deal with. But I kept going. And the reason I kept going was not because I was like, you know what, I'm gonna stick it to the man, that stupid girl, the hot girl that rejected me in high school 5 years ago. I'm gonna show her who's desirable now. It was none of that, right? That can drive you for a little bit, but that's not gonna get you to the top of the mountain. It was the fact that I was committed to the daily process and I liked going to the gym. After the first few years, which took a lot of discipline, took a lot of effort, it was, and is to this day, 10 years later, the only way I know how to deal with negative emotions. The only way I can regulate my stress is with the gym. Sometimes when I work a 12-hour day, like I am now, shooting a video in between a class, a medical class at 8 a.m., and then a 3-hour medical lab, and then working again in the evenings, the gym is sometimes the only thing that gives me that pep and that little change in my energy. And if I were just focused on like, okay, I want to go from 130 pounds, which is my natural body weight, it's 6'2", believe it or not. If I said, I want to get from 130 to 180, if that was my focus, I would have quit a long time ago. Just like if your focus is getting that promotion, if your focus is becoming like the valedictorian at school, if the focus is writing the book, getting the girl or getting the guy, those things will disappoint you because you can't always control the outcome 100%. You can only control the effort you put in. I can control the effort of creating this video. I can't always control how well it performs. And so when you focus too much on the outcome, the desire to keep going gets tired. You get tired, you get worn out because you're only focused on the result, but you can't always control the result, at least in the short run. The second thing I see a lot is this kind of ultimatum-based thinking. So I hear so many people and they're like, you know what? If I can't lose 10 pounds this year, I'm quitting. Screw it. I'm not even gonna try anymore. And it's like, you can give yourself the ultimatum, but how does that help you? Right? How does that help you? If you're in debt, you need to get out of debt. If you're not healthy, you need to get healthy. If you're single, you don't want to be single, or if you're in a relationship and it's not a good relationship, you need to take care of that. I need to fix that. This is something we have to fix. Like me being like all or nothing, that I'm going to go so hard, gangbusters, if I don't get the results, I'm done, it's a completely flawed mindset. Because no matter if you fail or you win in the short run, you still have to keep going because life just doesn't end until it's officially over. So stopping by being like, I gave it my best shot, this sucks, it wasn't good enough, I'm not gonna do this anymore, is a worthless mindset. It's a worthless mindset because you have to keep going. So it helps me think about what are the things I can do that maybe I need to do more in the long run, right? I need to take that long-term mindset. I need to focus on mastering the day, making today perfect. I need to make sure I enjoy all these things. How can you do that instead of like, this is the last straw? There is no last straw unless you're dead. So the third thing here for me that was big was never decreasing the dream, but increasing the effort or changing the strategy. Just like with my gym analogy, like I still had that. I had that emotional pain that I hated being skinny. I hated it. And that was what drove me initially. Now I'm much closer to where I want to be, so it doesn't bother me so much. But at the start, I could have been like, you know what? This is not working. I'm just going to quit, do whatever I want. But what I needed to do, it doesn't necessarily mean I had to go to the gym twice as much or eat twice as much food. It just meant that maybe I had to do something different in order to keep going. So pivoting the strategy. And one of the ways that I've continuously done this in every aspect of my life, from fitness to finances to relationships, is every day I want to quit, I do one page in a strategy book. So this is something I learned from Jim Rohn, where he talks about you put together your playbook, right? If you want to lose weight, if you want to find the right person, if you want to write a book, you want to build a business, create a playbook that you use for every day that you wanted to quit. You write down one page of how could you overcome the barriers and the obstacles. I've got a thick book now of hundreds of pages that are, each page in that book is a day that I wanted to quit in my own business because entrepreneurship has been so difficult for me. Every single page is a page I wanted to quit. There are hundreds, look at that, literally hundreds of pages in only 3.5 years of being an entrepreneur. It is that hard. And if you dedicate that kind of time and that kind of energy to overcoming whatever the personal barriers are, they could be purely personal development. You could be a negative person. You could be a self-sabotaging person. You could be a neurotic person. You could be a person that makes lots of mistakes in life. You could be a person that doesn't put any effort into life. If you do one strategy page for every day you've wanted to not address that, I promise you in a year your life will be very different. And the final thing here is this obsession with focusing on the day. When I wrote my book, Master the Day, it was revelational for myself because I realized that the best weight loss success stories, these were not people that were so obsessed with their weight loss, but they were obsessed with how can I improve my life today? Like today, just today. How can I make today perfect? That idea of the John Wooden quote of making today your masterpiece. Well, how can you focus on making today your masterpiece? That's the million-dollar question, because if I am here, if I'm 300 pounds overweight and I'm obsessed with getting to 160 pounds, every day I will feel failure. I will feel negative emotions. I will not like myself. I will not be happy if I'm looking at a piece of paper that says 160. But if I look at that same piece of paper and it says, did I eat right? Did I do something exercise related? And did I meditate? Every day is a win. And that's a really big difference. There's a really big difference when you have a goal that takes you years, like losing 100 pounds, like maybe finding the right person, the right partner in your life, like building a business or improving your financial life or getting through a graduate program or medical school or school. When you have a goal that's that long term, every day, if you feel failure, oh, I didn't graduate, I didn't perform well, I didn't lose the weight I wanted, that's a lot of negative emotion to deal with on a daily basis. But instead, if your only focus is on the day, did I do the rituals I said that I know are going to help me build that awesome life? Every day is going to be a win. So imagine what that does internally. When you go to bed and you're like, I disappointed myself again. I let myself down again. I'm not anywhere near my goal again. Versus, I did exactly what I said I was supposed to do to reach my goal. The internal experience is completely different. And the fact is, you can have two people reaching the same goal, and one will be miserable the whole time and after, and one will be having a good time. Which one do you want to be? So here's your tiny daily habit for today if you feel like you keep disappointing yourself. The big thing, in my opinion, is that we all disappoint ourselves at some point. And that for many of the things where we feel disappointed, these aren't things that you can just quit on. You can in the short run, but it's not going to solve the problem. So how can I come up with strategies? How can we come up with strategies that actually work in the long run to both reach the goals without feeling like we disappoint ourselves? And for me, honestly, it revolves around being more gentle with yourself, focusing on the day, not the goal, and looking at, honestly, a lot of the beliefs and the stories floating around. Sometimes they're from childhood. This never good enough, you're never going to make it, you're never going to hack it. Some people that fuels up, other people it beats down. And so I think it's one part, like the mindset stuff, like always, and the practical habit stuff. The mindset stuff is look at it as just a story, a narrative, like I talk about in Master the Day. And then the habit stuff is focus on making the day perfect. Don't beat yourself up if today wasn't a great day, because tomorrow you've got another one. Use those strategy pages to figure out what needs improving about yourself. What can you change tomorrow? Just 1%. Anyone can do 1%. And then use that to build 1%, 1%, 1%, 1%, and get back on that trajectory to where you want to be. So I hope that helps. Before you go, let me know right there below. If you're down for this, let me know what is the aspect of your life you most disappoint yourself in. Hey guys, it's Alex. I hope you like this video. The best way to stay in touch is to get my free guide on how to lose your next 20 to 30 pounds with 5 habits over on my site right there. Click the monk dude to subscribe, watch the last video that just came out. And if you like my tiny daily habit philosophy to losing weight and also being more successful in life, check out my book, Master the Day, either in the description or on Amazon.com. And if you send me your receipt to Alexander@modernhealthmonk.com, I'll send you a 2-hour bonus video course for free.